speakers. Good afternoon. Yeah, good. Okay. I am Ella Scarborough, and at this time we're going to do two things. One, introduce ourselves. Two, pledge of allegiance to the flag, and also a prayer, and then we'll get started. Yes. I'll start with
Yes, good afternoon. I'm Janice Page, Clerk to the Board.
Good afternoon. Thank you for being here in our chamber on a beautiful Tuesday afternoon. My name is Trevor Fuller. I'm privileged to serve as a county commissioner at large. Welcome.
Thanks for being here. Thank you for being here and participating in governments. I'm Jim Puckett. I serve as the representative from District 1 and have the honor of being the vice chair.
Good afternoon again. I am Ella Scarborough, and I have the awesome opportunity to be chair of the county commissions. I am an at-large member.
Hello, I'm Pat Cotham, County Commissioner at Large. We have a big crowd here today. I welcome everyone and want everyone who are, this is being televised or watching at home and on Twitter and Facebook. So welcome to everyone.
Good afternoon. My name is Matthew Ridenauer, Mecklenburg County Commissioner for District 5. I want to welcome everyone to being here this afternoon. I want to say I've gotten so many emails and phone calls and tweets about this, and text messages, Facebook messages, and I want to say that I've still unburying myself from all those emails and returning phone calls, but I have read every email, and I do appreciate all of them. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Welcome. I'm DeMont Clark, County Commissioner, District 4.
Good afternoon. My name is Vilma D. Leak, and I represent the most powerful district in this county, and that happens to be District 2. And those of you who are a part of District 2, welcome. We're happy that I know you're here, so I'm glad that you're here this afternoon. And I pray that all will go well and that we will do what we ought to do. And telephone calls, yes. Reading my emails, I read emails until about 3:30 this morning. And I was grateful to have something to read. So thank you for sending those emails to me, pro or con. And again, welcome. Most powerful district, District 2.
Good afternoon. I'm Dina Diorio, Mecklenburg County Manager.
Good evening. I'm Marvin Bethune, Mecklenburg County Attorney.
And good evening. I'm George Dunlap, elected by the people of District 3.
Thank you very much. At this time, I'll ask our able-bodied vice chair to give us a prayer.
If you'll join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to come together as a community to discuss and to debate, to learn and to teach. I pray for calm. I pray for the ability to hear and understand. I pray that we will hear each other. In the end of the day, we take great comfort in knowing that ultimately thy will be done. And we hope that we will do it in a way that will bring honor to you and to this community. In Christ's name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Would you join us?
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This is a public hearing on Major League Soccer. Anyone needing special accommodations while attending this meeting, please let our able-bodied clerk know. And we appreciate you being here this afternoon. And with that, we will begin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to thank everybody for being here today. I'm going to start by just giving sort of an overview of kind of where we are and some of the major deal points, just so that the community and the public have an opportunity to have all that information. After I complete my remarks, I'm going to ask Marcus Smith, President and Chief Executive Officer of Speedway Motorsports, to come up and address the board. I think it's important that you hear from him. And after that, we will have Michael Smith, President and CEO of Charlotte Center City Partners, and Tom Murray, CEO of the Charlotte Regional Visitors Authority, come up and just make some brief comments. And after that, we will be able to hear from the public that has convened here this afternoon. So just in terms of summary, on 12/14/2016, Major League Soccer announced a process inviting 10 cities nationally to compete for the 25th and 26th franchises in Major League Soccer. All bids must be received by MLS by 1/31/2017, and the announcement on which cities will receive a franchise will be late in summer 2017. As you know, Marcus Smith is the prospective ownership lead person for the Charlotte bid, and the owner must be the bid submitter, not the city nor the county. He must also commit to paying the $150 million franchise fee to secure the franchise. A stadium partnership deal with the site control must be tendered with the bid, as well as other pertinent information about the city's passion for and history with soccer. So the highlights of the proposed deal are as follows. The site is a Memorial Stadium adjacent to Central Piedmont Community College and Independence Park. The expected 20,000-seat stadium cost is estimated to be $175 million, to be funded 50-50 between the public and the private, $87.5 million from the private ownership group, $12.5 million up front, with $4.26 million in lease payments per year for 25 years, $43.75 million from the county's capital program, and $43.75 million from the city's tourism funds, which is restricted for such purposes. The county would build and own the stadium, and the team will operate, market, book, manage, and maintain the facility and cover all losses. The master lease would be for 25 years, with upgrades provided by the county in year 11 and at year 21 at an agreed-upon level. $150,000 funded each by the county and the team for minor annual capital projects would be each year, growing by 5% per year and not to exceed $300,000 in any year. Sufficient guarantees will be in place by the team should the facility go dark or the team relocate at any point over the 25-year period. A combined 20 rent-free days will be made available by the team to the county and the CRVA because of the public investment in the facility. Parking studies, traffic studies, area plan updates, and stadium design orientation with Independence Park and honoring of the veterans will be funded by the team and the county with involvement of the Elizabeth neighborhood as well as other nearby neighborhoods. Memorial Stadium in Grady Cole would be demolished, and historic pieces of the stadium, such as the stone wall and the ticket booths, will be reused, and certain architectural elements emulated in the new stadium. Archiving of the history of Memorial Stadium would also be done, and a certificate of appropriateness would be received from the Historic Landmarks Commission. Alternative venues for events currently held at Grady Cole have been identified. In addition, the team will offer a nonprofit rate for groups that want to use the new stadium, and they would be able to do so at a reduced rate. A couple other points I'd like to make, and I've seen this in some of the emails that I've received, is that there needs to be clarity around the dollars that would be used for this facility. These are capital dollars, they're not operating dollars, so the money that we're using for this facility could not be used to fund additional teachers or teacher raises or other things that are included in our operating budget. So I want that to be clear. And we also have the debt capacity to move forward with this project, even though we have a fairly large capital plan. We have taken into consideration all the projects that have been requested and that are in our pipeline and still have the capacity to take this project on. So no projects would be displaced in order to achieve the desired outcome that we're trying to achieve at Memorial Stadium. The second point I want to make is I received a call yesterday from Mark Abbott, and he is the president and deputy commissioner of Major League Soccer. And he left me with two very distinct messages. First, he indicated that MLS is excited about the activity in Charlotte around soccer and the conversations that we are having. There seems to be a tremendous amount of interest by the league in what we're doing here. And secondly, the league believes in the partnership between Major League Soccer and the United Soccer League, of which the Charlotte Independence is a member. There are numerous opportunities for an MLS franchise and the Charlotte Independence to work together to advance soccer in this community. And I want to be clear, and I want the community to know that there are no efforts to abandon our relationship with the USL and the Charlotte Independence in favor of an MLS franchise, and I think it's important that that be said publicly. So at this time, I'd like to invite Marcus Smith to come to the podium and address the board. Thank you.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, commissioners, for having me today. First, I think I should say a special thank you to all of my kindergarten friends that were big Carolina Lightning fans for telling me that one day soccer would be a major league sport in America. They were right, and really it's amazing to see how far soccer has come in America since then. You know, a lot of people have asked me, why are we doing this, and what's our interest? And really it's around Charlotte. This is a community opportunity. When you think about Charlotte and the fantastic public-private partnerships that have generated great things like the arena uptown, the convention center, all of the spending that happens around that, BB&T Ballpark most recently. Charlotte has a fantastic history in investing in things that improve the quality of life in our community. And soccer, Major League Soccer, is the fastest growing sport in the United States today. It's the largest sport in the world with attendance and players, people that play it. Soccer is really an international language that people all around the world know what it's about. And I think that's really important to remember when you think about Charlotte and the growth that Charlotte has had and the growth trajectory that Charlotte is on. Major League Soccer fits in Charlotte, and now's the right time. People have asked me, when did I get involved, when did I get interested? Because our regular job, our core business, is in sports entertainment. I keep my ear to the ground on all kinds of sports. And around 5 years ago, I started thinking that the time is coming when Major League Soccer is going to be right. And you see the huge crowds that have been attracted to Bank of America Stadium over the last few years when we've hosted international matches. You see that Charlotte has a tremendous youth soccer participation rate with families, children competing all across the city. And it tells you that Charlotte is a soccer community. And now is the right time for MLS in Charlotte. They're going to award 4 more teams, and we've got a special opportunity now at this site with a great opportunity to take Memorial Stadium and make an even bigger monument to our veterans and to celebrate our history. I think this is a great opportunity to reinvest in the community and be able to include people from all around the city in this fantastic entertainment opportunity and a way to get involved and engage across the whole city. I also want to speak to the timing. You know, while we've been hosting international matches at Bank of America Stadium now for a few years, the timing that we were given by MLS was announced in mid-December, and it was new to everybody. So you know, we didn't. It's not our timing. It's really a timing that was offered up by the league, and with that, we're competing against world-class cities, other world-class growing cities like Nashville and San Diego and Sacramento, Detroit and St. Louis. There are a lot of other cities that want to be Major League Soccer towns, and this is a great opportunity for Charlotte to win that franchise. And it's really not something that we can do alone. We have to have support from the community. We appreciate all the support that we've had. We appreciate the questions from people who question whether this is a good idea or not. But I think when you look around our city and you see the things that when they were first presented were met with a lot of controversy and a lot of resistance, we can look now and really enjoy a lot of those things that make our community great and a great place to work and play and a place for businesses to thrive and grow. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dina, thank you. Madam Chair, members of the Board of County Commissioners, it's a pleasure to be back with you today. This is a project that we've prioritized for a great amount of time on 2 fronts. Number one, the power of Major League Sports for our community, but also the opportunity to reinvest in this important part of our community that has incredible infrastructure and has suffered from some disinvestment. In our analysis, we believe this is a powerful proposal for the citizens of Mecklenburg County. And the reason that we believe that is this work will restore the vibrancy and the value of Memorial Stadium for the next generation. That's quite an undertaking. It will help us renew Memorial Stadium and Independence Park, our first park. It has the power to grow jobs and expand the tax base. It will make us more competitive for talent, jobs, and guests. We are in competition with great cities across the U.S. and around the globe. Soccer can be yet another differentiator to attract and retain our talented workforce and the companies that seek to employ them. We are also excited about the potential of an MLS stadium at this location and its ability to serve our community. This location is incredibly accessible through the planned Cross Charlotte Trail, your Little Sugar Creek Greenway, and our transit system. If you consider for a moment the powerful pairing of an urban park and affordable family entertainment, you need to look no further than your Romare Bearden Park and the work and partnership that you struck with the Charlotte Knights at BB&T Ballpark. We anticipate the pairing of Independence Park and Memorial Stadium to be a similar catalyst for quality development and investment across as much as 60 acres along the Elizabeth Avenue corridor. In closing, in 1988, we welcomed the NBA and the Hornets, becoming a major league sports city. In 1995, we welcomed the NFL and our Panthers, joining the ranks of NFL cities, and our economic development profile became stronger. In 2020, 25 years later, we have an opportunity to compete for Major League Soccer that will contribute to our quality of life and raise our national and international profile yet again.
Good evening, Madam Chair and County Commissioners. Thank you for the time to speak in front of you. My name is Tom Murray. I'm the CEO of the Charlotte Regional Visitors Authority. As we've pursued international soccer in recent years with international friendlies that have generated tens of millions of dollars of economic impact and seen subsequent soccer camps and community programs crop up as a result of these events, we've watched our community embrace the sport with open arms. MLS is gaining popularity in the U.S. and the world with double-digit growth in sponsorships, season tickets, and attendance. We're confident that Charlotte would be a successful market that could add to that momentum. Charlotte's fastest-growing population segment also aligns perfectly with MLS fan base. Charlotte is currently the top city for young adult population growth, and 65% of the MLS fan base falls into that category. MLS also reflects a diverse fan base that aligns with Charlotte's changing demographics. In addition to economic impact for Charlotte, the addition of another major league sports gives Charlotte added national exposure opportunities via televised games. The exposure generates millions of media impressions and showcases our city in ways that we couldn't necessarily afford to traditionally market via paid media. MLS games are currently broadcast on ESPN and Associated Networks Fox Sports 1 and Univision. As part of our role with the Visitors Authority, we calculate economic impact for things that we invest in. We have taken great care and caution in using this methodology that we use. We use a third-party provider called Implan. Those folks are the accepted organization or the accepted corporation that we use their methodology throughout the country. The visitor spending, as we've calculated with using their model, and an annual impact is about $41.5 million. On the 25-year period, it's $1,038 million. That's visitor spending, so that's known as direct spending. The number economic impact, which includes indirect spending and induced spending, is $70.4 million on an annual basis and $1,760 million in economic impact to our community. It also is anticipated to create 597 ongoing jobs and will have a one-time economic impact hit of $300 million for the construction period. Thank you very much for your attention to this issue.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I have one question. Do we have this information in writing somewhere that we can?
I can get it from Tom,
All right.
and I'll get it back to all the board members.
All right. Very good.
Okay, that ends our special speakers, and now we are going to ask our speakers who've signed up. I have a list of people who've already signed up. Please note that you will have 3 minutes to speak. Once the buzzer goes off, we would ask that you would respect that and move for the other speakers. So at this time, I will call 5 people at a time, so I hope you will come down in that order. First, we have Zapata McGriff. I'm sorry, Griffin, I'm sorry. Bob Morgan. We have Calb Wyckoff, Jesse Newsom, and Pepper Hare in that order. Thank you.
It's okay to start? Good afternoon, Chairwoman Scarborough and County Commissioners. My name is Lucia Zapata Griffith. I chair the Charlotte Chamber Soccer Task Force. We are a group of business people, former players, interested citizens. Both large and small companies are represented in our group, as well as various nationalities. We have worked for some years to support the further growth of soccer in our area. Our vision is very simple. We see Charlotte as a soccer hub. Soccer is important for quality of life in our community, as well as a talent recruitment tool. Many of us have been touched by the sport. It is likely that one of your own children, your grandchildren, neighbors' children play. It is likely that you know someone who changes his or her suit or his or her construction uniform to go change to shorts and cleats and play soccer. There are plenty of adult leagues in town. They just do it for fun, for health, for tradition. Our large and fast-growing international community comes from countries in Latin America, like myself, I'm Peruvian, Europe, Africa, and other parts of the world. Over there, soccer is an extremely important part of life. It's our entertainment, it's fun, it's played by all walks of life. It's played and watched by families of all income levels, as it happens in the United States. I've seen it played in parks, streets, stadiums, everywhere. When doing business internationally, golf is not the icebreaker, soccer is. Our task force has 3 goals. We have worked on these years with 3 main objectives. 1, to support an MLS team eventually to come to Charlotte. To support our local USL Independence team, the Charlotte Independence, and we're glad to hear they remain being supported. And support youth soccer, especially in those areas of our region where resources are limited. During these years, many great things have occurred that show that Charlotte really supports the sport strongly. Many extremely well-attended international games were held at Bank of America Stadium. I personally went to all of them, and some of them there was a lot of Spanish being spoken, there was a lot of international population, and there are others where we were singing in English with English accents. So I know that that's been a real way to get us all together. We had events happening around the games. We had lunches with a group from the Caribbean, Trinidad and Tobago, Mexico, Cuba, people from all over the place that we really didn't even know were already grouped in different parts of Charlotte. They all showed up. We all came together for those games. The Independents also played, and they had events for the international community as well. They had a Caribbean celebration where children from different countries walked with the flags, and they celebrated the team, and it was a really cool thing to happen here in the city. We also heard from a passionate and diverse soccer community with thousands playing on a regular basis, and all of you saw what happened when the World Cup was going on. You couldn't find a seat in any place downtown to go and have a drink because they were all taken all day long. So we've seen it and actually done it. For a while, Jim McPhillamy with the Charlotte Independents talked to us about the potential that Charlotte has for an MLS team, and showed to be a second visuals of Memorial Stadium as a great fit. I'll be very quick. This is a unique opportunity.
Thank you.
We hope that you support.
Your time is up. Thank you so much.
We hope you support this effort.
Thank you. Our next person is Bob Morgan.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the Board of County Commissioners. I'm Bob Morgan, President and CEO of the Charlotte Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber of Commerce has not had the opportunity to deliberate and to take a position on the details of the proposal before you. We did want to come today and talk about soccer as an economic development tool that is very important, and to urge your careful and consideration of this unique opportunity to invest in our future. Lucia just talked about a three-part strategy that we've been about for several years: increase the youth programming and facilities in our community, continue to recruit the international matches, and to position and prepare ourselves to be host to an MLS franchise. This is all part of a strategy that we use in selling Charlotte to young people that we're trying to recruit to our community and to companies. Some statistics. The MLS total attendance is, in 2016, 7.4 million people, a 225% increase since 1996. MLS is particularly popular among two demographics that are important to us: young adults and Latin Americans. Charlotte ranked the top metro for young adult growth from 2005 to 2015. The number of 18 to 34-year-olds living in Charlotte increased during that time by 30% to more than 540,000. We are good at attracting talent from elsewhere. We have a recent economic development strategic plan that has suggested we're actually at risk that if something were to turn off the spigot of that talent, that the companies in our market would not be able to fill the jobs that they need, and we would be at risk of losing those jobs. This is an opportunity to play offense, to continue selling our community to young people. Interest in the MLS among the international, and particularly the Hispanic community, is also large, and that is a fast-growing demographic in Charlotte. Since 2010, the Hispanic population has grown by 18.2% and now represents almost 14% of our city's total population. Charlotte is also home to 240,000 foreign-born residents, many from soccer-loving countries. Among the more than 1,000 foreign-owned firms in the Charlotte region, 675 are based in European countries. I talked to our European economic developer about this, Sven Gertzer. His quote: "I mentioned the international friendlies and the Charlotte Independents at almost every single client visit. Having an MLS team in Charlotte would add to the toolbox to recruit even more companies and jobs to Charlotte." Again, we urge your careful and serious consideration for the economic development components of this unique opportunity to invest in our future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Mrs.
Caleb Wyckoff.
Wyckoff.
Yes.
Oh, Caleb, I'm sorry.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, and thank you, and Councilman, thank you for this opportunity. First, I haven't written something this important since my wedding vows, and I almost threw up and cried that day, so hopefully I don't do that here. My name is Caleb Wyckoff, and I'm the former operations manager for the Charlotte Independents. I've been heavily involved in the Charlotte soccer scene for the past 7 years, playing in several adult leagues, volunteering with the Charlotte Eagles in 2013 and 2014, and working with the Independents the past 2 years. I'm here today to urge you in voting for this project. Memorial Stadium is highly unused by the city of Charlotte. To me and many other people, it is an eyesore amongst many of our other fantastic infrastructures around the city. I fear that if something isn't done about Memorial, then it will continue to deteriorate, and Charlotte may lose the opportunity to gain an MLS franchise. An upgrade to Memorial Stadium not only could potentially gain us an MLS team, but it can also attract so many other types of events in Charlotte. A proper soccer-specific stadium will attract our national teams, both men and women's teams. Soccer brings community to our city. I have witnessed firsthand Independence fans rally around the Charleston fans after the tragic shooting in the Methodist Episcopal Church. In the game against Charleston Battery, shortly after the tragedy, fans cared more about what happened off the field than on it, raising money for the victims and creating healing at a time when there was hurt. I believe that North Carolina will one day get an MLS team. I certainly hope it's in Charlotte. This is just the beginning of what I believe is the only chance we may have of getting something done with Memorial Stadium and to land an MLS team. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next person is Jesse Newsom.
Good afternoon. I spoke before you back in July on this topic, talking about how I love soccer, and I would love to have you reinvest in Memorial Stadium for the Independents, and now we have something that's bigger and maybe more urgent. Found I didn't know enough about Memorial Stadium, and so I took a field trip there 2 days ago on Sunday to see what kind of a memorial it is for the doughboys of World War I. It looks old. It's been painted, but not recently. The football goalposts are bent to the right. The grass is kind of bare. The rock wall looks like it was once pretty, but hasn't been washed in a while. And I looked all around the stadium. I walked all around the Lock Stadium to see where was the memorial to the World War I veterans and the folks that gave their lives in World War I, and I couldn't find a memorial to the World War I veterans. So I guess either the memorial is inside the stadium where people aren't able to see it, or perhaps the stadium itself is the memorial, but even though it doesn't really say so. As Caleb just mentioned, the stadium hasn't been really used that much, and so the county has a 16-acre parcel in a fantastic part of the city that's valuable, but it's not providing any beauty and it's not providing any benefit to the community. So it's not used, and so therefore it's not maintained, and it's not maintained, so it's therefore not used, and it's in a vicious cycle of neglect, and that's a real shame. There's been talk from the last meeting about taking some action at some point, but there's never been any one idea, any one vision that brought people together on what to do about it. And so again, we're in a vicious cycle of inaction about Memorial Stadium. Now we have a plan. It's a concrete proposal from local people, from serious people that can get this done. Private parties would pay half of the cost for reinvesting in Memorial Stadium, and the county share would be capped at a quarter. So the team would take on any risks, any cost growth, or anything like that. There's been talk on the internet and so forth about we need to upgrade our aging infrastructure, and that includes Memorial Stadium. We have Memorial Stadium there now. So what will we get for this investment? As the gentleman from the chamber just mentioned, we would get something that will help us attract businesses, attract jobs, attract people. We're competing right now. The cities in the southeast that are trying to get MLS are some of the same cities that we're trying to compete for jobs. Tampa, Raleigh, Nashville. Probably one of those is going to get an MLS team. I hope it's us. It's an attraction that a lot of other cities don't have. It would put us in the big leagues, where right now there's maybe some question about whether we're big league or maybe not. We would get, secondly, a venue that would attract events. I'll finish by saying, if you don't do it now, what is your plan?
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Our next person is Pepper Hare. Thank you.
Hello, thank you for having me here today. My name is Pepper Hare, and I'm a native Charlottean and a big soccer fan. However, I can't support the construction of a new stadium because it seems a poor use of limited tax dollars. Mike Smith of Center City Partners has framed this proposal in terms of an opportunity to somehow magically heal racial divisions in Charlotte, as well as to lift up the working poor. His recent statements in The Observer seem like cynical and manipulative grandstanding. How can we as a community take him seriously when he states, quote, "Landing an MLS franchise is nothing short of the defining accomplishment of our generation." The defining accomplishment of our generation. Really? Is his statement an accurate reflection of the thinking behind this project? If so, then the income inequality that plagues us now will only get worse. I did not vote for Michael Smith, or for Bruton Smith, or for Marcus Smith, but I did vote for a number of you sitting here today. Wealthy developers have far too much influence in our local policy decisions. It is time for that to stop. The working poor in this county will not benefit from this expenditure of funds. Any temporary employment for more minority-owned business would be limited, and other cities have repeatedly documented buyer's remorse for spending money on stadiums. Why are we ignoring this data? This whole process has been rushed and secretive. Public policy decisions deserve daylight and careful inspections, not secrecy and manipulation. We will never be a true major league city if we don't govern more thoughtfully. In order for local citizens to have confidence in our government, we need reassurance that both the staff and elected officials are doing due diligence and not being pushed around by single-issue developers. For the first time in my voting life here, I'm feeling concerned about future bond packages because of the credibility of projects like this. I've never considered not voting for every bond until now. Looking at the sometimes careless way that public monies are spent is giving me pause. We can do better, and we should get serious about our community priorities. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next person, thank you, audience. Our next person is Christopher Lauren. Is Christopher Lauren here?
Calling five.
Call a few of them down.
Christopher Lauren, after Chase Saunders is after he, and Vaughn Pullman, and the next person will be Carol Carlberg.
Madam Chair, members of the Commission, it is frightening to me that we are gathered here today seriously considering not only an unstable project proposal with an astronomical price tag, but also the complete demolition of the historic American Legion Memorial Stadium and Grady Cole Center complex. While bringing a Major League Soccer expansion franchise to Mecklenburg County is attractive to many and lucrative to a couple, the many burdensome costs associated with this project are not. I come before the Commission speaking as a seventh-generation native Charlottean. The stated proposal before the Commission appears to exist only because there is already a stadium on county-owned property. This is low-hanging fruit. It is my hope that other areas were examined for potential engagement, as there is certainly other lands scattered across our community, city proper, readily primed for development. Areas in both the Wilkinson Boulevard corridor and North Charlotte, for example, vie for an influx of business opportunity like this, yet are passed over when ventures like this arise. While having a brand new stadium with a gorgeous view of the skyline in the Elizabeth neighborhood is tempting on paper, in reality this plan would constrict its own potential impact. The infrastructure does not exist, parking options are few, and the area is heavily developed in ways. Putting a new stadium in the middle of Elizabeth would be like driving a square peg into a round hole. And is it really worth injecting millions of dollars of taxpayer dollars to put riders on the gold line? However, I have the most issue concerning the two significant historical structures which would be lost, erasing the remembrance of Mr. Grady Cole, and more importantly, the local men who served and died in the Great War. As our nation approaches centennial celebrations of the United States' involvement in World War I, we should be bolstering remembrance efforts, not tearing them down, and especially where a war memorial is concerned. Losing Memorial Stadium would deal a significant blow to the threadbare historic fabric that our city miraculously still has. It is disturbing to me that we can find almost $44 million to help round out the Smith family investment portfolio, while our own Charlotte-Mecklenburg school system later this evening will vote on a legislative wish list at the core of which is monetary funding and needs. This appears as a hasty bid meant to attract the eye of those on the Franchise Expansion Selection Committee. If Charlotte is to have a Major League Soccer team, the process needs to advance and grow in the most streamlined way possible. With the application deadline looming, this is impossible and risky. A future stadium could certainly become a centerpiece of our community, but if placed in the Elizabeth neighborhood, it will stunt its own growth while erasing a valuable part of our community's storied past. Thank you for your time and this opportunity to share.
Thank you. Chase Saunders.
The Honorable Judge Chase Saunders.
Madam Chair, thank you for the opportunity to appear. My family's been around here a couple of hundred years, and today, 70 years ago, I was born down the street. So today's a unique day. I'm here appearing as the chair of the Charlotte Youth Soccer Organization. We are a new, all-volunteer nonprofit affiliated with one of the oldest professional youth training programs in the United States, the American Youth Soccer Organization. We seek to provide an affordable soccer experience to the children in the communities without current access to soccer, as well as families in the new burgeoning suburbs throughout the region. Everybody plays, families and volunteers run these programs, and there are rules which apply to everybody. The genesis of our effort began with Charlotte Rotary and extends to the district Rotary leadership. That core group has been expanded to include members of the business and professional communities, and we focus on our goal of bringing soccer to that population of the children in the community with social mobility challenges. Our board can be characterized as the United Nations of Soccer. We have leadership from the German, Dutch, Indian, Lebanese, Peruvian, Hispanic, lots of communities as we grow this project. Other members from our group will speak. The soccer community in Charlotte is made up of a number of different interest groups. You've heard from the economic development community. You will hear or have heard from the sports professional and marketing communities. There's also a large and excellent club soccer program available to those with financial means. There are many diverse club, church, community, volunteer, and international soccer groups of all ages who participate in the soccer community. And now we're about creating an affordable program to provide access to the base. So we're all about the base. There was a tune last year by Megan Tiernan, someone who knows those names of the pop singers better than I, but we're all about the base. And we believe that support for this venture will strengthen all of the individual organizations and interest groups which are part of this great global sport and help us in our mission of helping the underserved. Now, soccer is a great sport with the most diverse participation on the planet. Just as any child can grow up to be president in the United States, any child can grow up to be a big-time soccer player. And our board believes that this expenditure is an investment in the future, and we dream of the day when a young boy or girl from Charlotte, given an opportunity to play soccer, can become an international soccer star. And as for those who don't reach that level, as many of us will not, they can become productive members of the community. So thank you for your attention to this matter, and some wonderful folks with whom I work will also be speaking this evening.
Thank you. Next person, Vaughn.
Hello, thank you for having me today, Commissioners. My name is Vaughn Pullman, and I am a Charlotte transplant, one of many. I grew up in Kansas City, a city that got on the MLS bandwagon from the get-go, 1996. And I remember going to games as a 6-year-old in the cavernous Arrowhead Stadium and getting a chance to go into the press boxes and getting a chance to see that team grow from being in a large stadium to having to be pushed out and play in a minor league baseball park where 10,000 people would fill that space. And eventually, they built a soccer-specific stadium in Kansas City. And I've seen MLS at every stage of its development. And I've traveled to see games. I've been to Portland and seen games in Portland. I've seen games in D.C. I've traveled and seen Independence games in Charleston. And I know just from growing up, I remember having players for the Kansas City Wizards at that time. I had the opportunity to learn and go to camps directly with the players. And I felt very connected to the teams. The accessibility of soccer to the team and the community, I think, is unique. There is some of that with the Hornets. There's some of that with the Panthers. But I think the culture of soccer is something that Charlotte is hungry for but has not had. And I think that there's a unique opportunity here with the current Memorial Stadium bid, where there's also a need for the city for developing this property. I have heard on social media the different arguments that the city shouldn't be spending taxpayer dollars on the construction. And I feel that although that's true, I think there's also a certain responsibility by the county to support a property that they will still maintain ownership of. I know that the Smiths bid is providing a significant number of funds toward the stadium that they will not own at the end of the day, and that the stadium ultimately is going to need repairs on taxpayer dollars. And aside from this plan, I'm not sure what the plan long-term, I mean, this is a 25-year plan, what long-term is going to be done at the Memorial Stadium site. And as a taxpayer in Mecklenburg County myself, I'm not sure what use I will get out of the stadium if there's not a Major League Soccer team there, because I haven't attended other events there, high school games. I'm not in high school anymore, and I probably won't have a high schooler for a while. So I think that it's a wonderful opportunity for the whole community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next person is Carolyn Carberg.
Good afternoon, Chairperson Scarborough, members of the County Commission. I'm also a Charlotte transplant from California. I'm also a soccer mom. One of my 2 daughters played soccer, and 3 of my 4 grandchildren played soccer. I'm also, like Judge Saunders, a member of the Board of Directors of the Charlotte Youth Soccer Organization, which is a program of the American Youth Soccer Organization, and I'm also a member of Charlotte Rotary. I'm here on behalf of Charlotte Rotary. The American Youth Soccer Organization, our parent organization, is the largest in the country, with 500,000 players nationwide, 50,000 teams, spread over 900 regions. The American Youth Soccer Organization, which we call locally here AYSO Region 605, has been in Charlotte for the past 31 years, operating out of Mallard Creek Community Park, where we operate 8 soccer fields, which we keep busy every season. Our board of directors on the Charlotte Youth Soccer Organization is diverse, representing virtually all of the communities and ethnicities of Charlotte. We have recently expanded to 13 sites throughout Charlotte, trying to focus our attention primarily on underserved communities. That is the driving force behind our expansion. And that expansion includes sites that are under the jurisdiction of Parks and Recreation, CMS. We also have Johnson C. Smith University and UNC Charlotte. Those entities are the locations where we have expanded to. Soccer is the world's most popular sport, known for its diversity. But in the U.S., soccer is primarily a suburban sport, lacking in diversity. In recent years, as you probably already know, a national study ranked Charlotte last out of 50 leading cities in the United States in social mobility, and Mecklenburg County 99th out of 100 leading counties in the United States. And so for these reasons, among others, including the love of the sport, the Charlotte Youth Soccer Organization was established to address this issue of social mobility in Charlotte. We believe that the answer to the problem of social mobility in Charlotte is linked to the expansion of economic opportunities. Others may emphasize reforms and interventions to bring about social change. We believe that expanding the pie to make the pie larger and more inclusive is the better way. In this case, we have an unprecedented opportunity to add a global sport to Charlotte's existing successful sports franchises, and thus add to the economic impacts of those franchises collectively. In other words, we want to see the pie bigger. We do not know when Charlotte will get...
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Our next speaker is Monty Riding Out.
Keep your eye on this one.
Oh, while he's coming, the other, if John Devine would come on down, and also Omar Case, and Mr. Duckett will also come. Right, we've seen you before.
You look like somebody we know.
Somebody we know.
Remotely familiar. Good afternoon, Madam Chair and Commissioners. I appreciate your holding this forum for public input on the proposed MLS stadium, especially since your counterparts who share this building didn't think it was important to hold a forum for public input. Perhaps that's because they have a discrete source of funding that doesn't involve the taxpayers directly. I'll explain why I'm against this proposal. First, were it not for media coverage, the fact that the true cost to the community is the county is about $132 million will really be lost. That's because nobody really paid much attention to the value of the existing real estate, which is about $13 million. That's serious money, and I'll talk a little more about serious money in a minute. Secondly, the traffic and parking study is to be performed after the county's commitment is secured. That's entirely backwards. For any other development, studies would be required before approval. Now, should these studies determine that there are significant steps that will be required to mitigate the traffic impacts, particularly to the Elizabeth neighborhood, who pays for those? Short answer, the taxpayers. Much has been said about the prospects for $500 to $700 million of new development. The Observer correctly pointed out the fallacy of that argument in its editorial this morning. Rarely, if ever, do stadiums generate huge economic development. The possibility of this happening around the Memorial Stadium site is even more unlikely because the site is hemmed in by CPCC, Independence Boulevard, and Independence Park. Were the stadium to be an exception to the rule, the only way there would be enough land to achieve development of that magnitude would be for the city to rezone the heart of the Elizabeth neighborhood. Fourth, the county's been asked to be the bank for a private enterprise, which is unprecedented here. I understand the complexities of traditional financing for construction on sites that the developer doesn't own, but they can be overcome and should be. You do not run Mecklenburg County Bank and Trust Company to provide funding which would set a very dangerous precedent for the future. Finally, and of greatest importance to me is the fact that this proposal does not benefit the entire community. Without even reading the Observer's editorial this morning, we are all aware of the needs of here in Mecklenburg County. Schools, housing, on and on.
Sir. Thank you very much. Our next person is John Devine.
Greetings, my name is John Devine. I'm not against soccer, but the lack of planning on the part of the stadium investor team should not constitute a citizen emergency. With their request for $88 million investment between the city and the county loan of $75 million, we are talking big money. And we've been given less than a month by the developers and local government to make a costly decision and establish a dangerous precedent. Citizens have no city council forums to attend, and there is only this one county commission forum at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a work day for people to express their opinions. I'm against the soccer stadium proposal for three main reasons. One, tax revenues. Forbes magazine recently noted that publicly financed sports stadiums are a game the taxpayers will lose. 2, jobs. Reason magazine noted that stadium development creates a few generally low-paying jobs during constructions and only a few well-paying permanent jobs. 3, and perhaps most importantly, community needs. Government land is a community resource and should be used first to meet community needs. Funds from the county general fund proposed to be used in this stadium deal could be used to fund schools and social services. Because there are no city council public forums, we don't know the exact limitations on the use of tourism taxes that are being proposed to fund this deal. Miami used some of the revenues to fund affordable housing. A soccer stadium is not a community need, but a want. Now, why should wants win out over basic community needs? Local government should not fund this investor proposal. This decision is a statement about our priorities as a community and how we spend our limited tax dollars. Your choice is clear. You must side with the investors who demand an answer on huge government funding in less than a month's time, or with the citizens who have not had adequate time, information, and forums to discuss the use of tax money. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next person, Omar. The next person is Omar.
So sorry. Good afternoon again. In one of my 3 lives, I am the chairman of supply chain at CPCC, and I am also a business owner. I have a shipping company and a consulting business. I count myself as a Charlottean because I've been here since 1985, which is almost twice as much as I lived in my home country, Lebanon. That said, if anybody wants to know how much business there would be or how many people want to play soccer, all we have to do is go to Elon Park or any park after 5 p.m. One day you will see the bunch of Germans playing soccer. The next day you will see a bunch of Pakistanis playing soccer. The third day you will see a bunch of Lebanese playing soccer. The fourth day you will see a bunch of Mexicans playing soccer. I think, to me, this is the greatest indication of whether soccer will fly here or not. I think Mr. Bob Morgan, when he spoke, he took what I wanted to say. So you can probably, if you want, put his name and, my name for what he said, and that will take care of that. But in terms of business, I heard what my country mates or citizens said about the lack of business when you build the stadium. Well, if we're thinking only about the stadium itself, that's one thing, but that's not what brings the money. What brings the money is events after the fact that are going to do that. Not to mention what Mr. Bob Morgan mentioned, which is absolutely accurate, attracting top-notch flyers from around the world to relocate to Charlotte, whether they're individuals or business. Because in my business, and everybody knows that here in Charlotte, we are lacking skilled labor. Remember, I am half an educator in one of my lives, right? So many times we have companies calling us to say, send me so-and-so students. We don't have enough of them, skilled labor, okay? That said, if any other indication will determine what soccer will do in Charlotte, if you look at the Inter Milan-Munich that happened in July, it attracted 50,000 audience members, the game that happened back in the summer. So there are many things that we can do here to attract talent and everything else. I cannot wait personally for the day when I say I am from Charlotte, that people would say, oh yeah, I know where that is. Ladies and gentlemen, in 1985, when I was accepted at UNCC to come to Charlotte, my mother asked me, where are you going? I said, Charlotte. She said, where is that? I said, I don't know. So I am very serious. This is a true story. I'm just trying to be funny. In 1985, I remember when the airplane was landing, I looked down and I'm thinking, that guy is going to the wrong place. I'm thinking the United States is huge, right? And there were like 3 buildings or something like that. Fast forward 30 years, We are the second largest. We did not become the second largest because we're not spending money. We have to spend the money. We did not become the second largest in terms of banking, when I said the second largest. We are becoming the second largest and hopefully the largest because we have a supply chain near the airport, because we have an intermodal near the airport.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Next person. Oh, Mr. Duckett.
Good afternoon. My name is Bilal Duckett, captain of the Charlotte Independents. I can't speak for the club. That's not my place, so I'll just share my experience. I relocated to Charlotte, and I've chosen to make Charlotte my home because of the game of soccer. And I've chosen to stay because I believe in the city and what it's trying to do. I've got teammates who have chosen to raise their families here from all over the world because of the game of soccer. Now, all that being said, my biggest hope for this is that the county or the people involved, that's the McPhillamies, the Smiths, the county, the city, can get together in a way that makes this decision work for the city. I'd love to see it happen. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Yes. Jonathan Lee. Next group, Jonathan Lee, Sean Gotham, Jesse Miller, and this name I will not try. Last name is Sang, but I do not know that first name, and I will not mess your name up, sir, Mr. Sang. Yes, while they're coming down, if there is anyone here who have not signed up and would like to speak, would you come down and sign up with our clerk? Yes, thanks. Yes, okay. Please note that both microphones are on, and you may use either one. Thank you, sir. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Lee. I don't have a script. I'm just going straight from the hip. I'm a recent Charlottean. I've actually only been here for 6 months. I've learned in 6 months that this is a outstanding town. How many people here have been to an MLS game? All right, it's a good crowd. So you understand that the soccer culture and the soccer fan is different than the football fan or the basketball fan. I kind of have a vision in my head of, and we all know what the march to the match is. I have a vision of meeting in, say, Target parking lot, walking down the Greenway and into the stadium. How great that would be for the hometown Charlotte team. I am a volunteer at this place called Bridge for Kids. I don't know if you know what it is. They are over in Plaza Midwood, great neighborhood, Plaza Midwood. They advocate for first-generation Americans and recent refugees and immigrants. And when we go to do a little playtime, they don't grab they don't grab basketballs, they don't grab footballs, they're grabbing soccer balls. And when I ask them about their favorite athlete, they respectfully don't say Cam Newton, it's Neymar, it's Cristiano Ronaldo, it's Messi. I think I'm not dismissing the problems here. I'm an eternal optimist. I'm always going to always look at the glass half full. I'm not dismissing. I understand that there are issues out here. I just feel like if we can get this done, this would be great for Charlotte. I wrote a piece. I'm a contributing writer to the Charlotte 5 here in town, and I recently did a piece on supporter clubs here in town. And, I talked to a bunch of clubs, and we kind of were talking about the MLS. And I asked them what their opinion of as a group, and they came back with, even though we support different teams, and I'm reading straight from the story I wrote, even though we support different teams, we're all Charlotteans. It's a great sport. It would be great to have a team to call our own. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next person. Next person is Sean Gotham and Jesse Miller and Sang.
Thank you, Madam Chair and County Commissioners. My name is Sean Gotham. I'm here as a parent, and one of the things I want to touch upon is the hopes and aspirations that soccer can bring to the community. I also want you to think about what the city would look like without some of our teams that we have even some of the people who have spoken their valid concerns about the cost, I would ask you to think about it as an investment. You know, we're not talking about 5 years, 10 years, we're talking about 25, 50 years from now on. And having that MLS team here in Charlotte will significantly expand Charlotte's visibility internationally and bring a lot more revenue opportunities and activity, I would say, in many ways to the city. So this is not just about soccer, this is not just about the stadium, this is not just about the site, but about opportunity, the economic opportunity, and so many other ancillary opportunities that it will bring with it. So that is what I see as a parent, and I also recognize some of the challenges that our community is facing in terms of economic mobility. Some of us in this group are involved with the Charlotte Youth Soccer Organization, which will expand soccer to children from different backgrounds, underprivileged backgrounds all over Charlotte, impacting about 2,000 children. So this is, in my opinion, the perfect opportunity to give these young people the vision, the hope that this sport can bring. So it is not just about soccer, it is about opportunity. So I would leave you with that, and I urge you to support this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jessica Miller.
Thank you. When I was in 7th grade, we had one of those field trips where you can go out into the wilderness and go on the ropes courses and do all those fuzzy team-building activities. Each of us were told to bring one item that was most important to us that we were going to share with our classmates. A lot of my peers brought pictures of their family, baby blankets, things like that. I brought a soccer ball. My family and home life was such that soccer was my sacred space. The ball came everywhere with me. Soccer even helped me become the first person in my family to go directly from high school into a 4-year college, and a private one at that. So I have a big place in my heart for soccer. But what I don't have a place in my heart for is welfare for billionaires. So tell billionaire Bruton if this is such a good investment to pay for it with private money. What I don't have a place in my heart for is community leaders who say that this project will somehow heal the divides that we saw in our community in September or be a defining moment for our city. We weren't out there marching for a soccer stadium, and to suggest that this does anything to address the demands of the uprising is insulting. What I don't have a place in my heart for is elected officials who say that we have millions of dollars to build a soccer stadium, but we don't have money so that we don't have 30 kindergartners in a classroom on the west side, right? And their administrators in an office, as one commissioner saw last week. Those are capital needs, not operating expenses. And that classroom was working well, Commissioner, right?
It was working
They
great.
made it work. But that's not the point. They shouldn't have had to make it work. So what we need leaders who are going to look out for and work for the people who are at the heart of the community. Our kids and teachers needed these things yesterday. This commission was so kind to grant nearly $15 million over the next 5 years for deferred maintenance requests to CMS so that our kids can have heat and air conditioning and roofs that don't leak, right? But it's called deferred maintenance for a reason. Those things and those requests have already been deferred. Our kids and teachers needed it yesterday, and so it's great to see that money over the next 5 years. But with this commission considering the soccer stadium so quickly and so urgently, it seems like that money might actually be available now. So we've got a lot of community needs that are urgent, but they do not include a publicly funded soccer stadium. Tell billionaire Bruton, no, we have no funds for football. And instead, take this money that we're discussing right now and send it immediately to the CMS deferred maintenance funds, because those requests have already been delayed and those needs are urgent and now. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sang? Mr. Sang? Okay, he's not here. John Wakefield and Dave Dow, along with Rod.
Skowski. Skowitz.
Where's Mr. Sang? saying it is.
Serious business.
Wakefield?
He didn't come.
I don't see Mr. Wakefield.
Okay. So Dave, are you Dave Dow?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Go right ahead.
Thank you, Commissioner and board members. In the early winter of 1935, as the funding came in for what would become American Legion Memorial Stadium, Charlotte's American Legion Post No. 9 began to lobby to have the stadium honor our World War I veterans. 82 years later, a new generation of veterans are asking you to recommit the same promise that your predecessors had. A renewed commitment that this stadium will serve as a lasting legacy to Mecklenburg counties and North Carolina's veterans. According to the Department of Veterans Affairs in 2014, North Carolina ranks 8th in veterans population, and Mecklenburg County has the second largest population in the state. The fastest growing veteran demographic are the Iraq and Afghanistan veterans, who also fall into the targeted millennial category. These are the people that this project would potentially benefit from all aspects the most. A rededication to this generation of veterans will put Mecklenburg County in a unique and highly viewed position. Currently, there is not a large-scale memorial to our Iraq and Afghanistan veterans, and on the federal level, this is because federal law prohibits it. But there is a resounding cry in every community for a memorial to our Iraq and Afghanistan veterans. As PTSD takes a modestly estimated 22 veterans a day nationwide, many Iraq and Afghanistan veterans will never have the chance to see their own Vietnam Wall. Not only funding this project would benefit soccer in Charlotte, but would provide an incredible opportunity to be a healing symbol for our veterans in our community and state. As an Iraq veteran who daily deals with crippling PTSD, I imagine a renewed Independence Park that highlights the impact and the importance of Mecklenburg County's military history with beautiful architecture and water features like Romero Building Park. This would be a greenway leading to Memorial Stadium, with it being the crown jewel. This would become a culmination of a memorial that would create a park of healing and become a focal point for our Iraq and Afghanistan veterans. It would become the place that could heal the hearts and minds of those who have been affected by this unending war. It would be a place that members of this community could begin to understand the emotions carried by the Iraq and Afghanistan veterans, much like the Vietnam Wall has been for every citizen. On behalf of the 774,958 veterans who call North Carolina home, and in the same spirit of the men and women who supported this project in 1935, I ask that you commit to revitalizing this memorial to our veterans. I ask that you take the initiative in the lead on making this project a beacon for other communities on how to honor our Iraq and Afghanistan veterans.
Thank you, sir.
And I ask you to vote yes on this project.
Thank you very much. Our next person is Rod Moskowitz. Moskowitz.
Good afternoon. I'm Rod Moskowitz. I think I have a very unique perspective here, and I wish that I had more than 3 minutes to discuss. I started in Major League Soccer when the league was launched in 1996. Since that time, I've been to 4 World Cups. I've played Division I varsity soccer. I've traveled to all over the country, all over the world, and met with executives from Real Madrid, FC Barcelona, Paris Saint-Germain. I've represented approximately 100 Major League Soccer players since this time. I also, over the past 20 years, have been involved in NASCAR, representing several of the top NASCAR drivers, and in that period of time have gotten to see firsthand the Smith family and the visionary things that they've done in the sports and entertainment space. I will tell you that this is an absolute historic opportunity for Charlotte, for our community, for the Carolinas, and I just deeply urge you to vote in support of the stadium. We've listened and talked all about the value of soccer and the international aspects of it, so rather than kind of repeating all that when no one has mentioned that in 2026, the United States will be competing to win the right to host the World Cup, and it would be great for Charlotte to host that event and the massive economic development that will bring to our city and the international recognition, and having an MLS team here will substantially help that effort. In addition, when we talk about all the players that will come in the development of youth soccer and how all these kids are role models and how they're going to further impact the growth and invest in the community, and when they all retire and stay here, that is unquestioned. And finally, with respect to kind of the support, there's just no doubt. I started with soccer when there were 4,000 people coming to an MLS game in Arrowhead Stadium. Now with Sporting KC Park, it's the toughest ticket to get in Kansas City. I know the community in NODA, in Myers Park, where I've lived, from North Tryon. Everybody is going to come and support the stadium. With respect to the Smith family, what an historic opportunity to have them involved and committing to bring this franchise to town. I've seen firsthand, from building condos at a racetrack, from bringing in massive TV screens to filling up racetracks and hosting the largest attended football games in the country. These are truly, truly visionary people, and certainly they're very, very successful people, and that's for that reason. And I know firsthand from watching them that they will have an incredible commitment to making sure that this MLS franchise is best in class, and with that, it will continue to kind of further elevate our community and our city. So once again, I just urge all of you to support the bid. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Matthew, the next person. Matthew specific? Yes. And Jeff Beaver will behind that person, and also James McPhilly.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and the members of the County Commission, and thanks for the opportunity to speak. My name is Matthew Pacifici. I'm a Charlotte native, a recent Davidson College graduate, and this year I just completed my first season in the MLS with the Columbus Crew up in Ohio. There's many things I'd like to cover today, but the most important, I believe, is giving a first-hand account of how profound of an impact an MLS franchise can have on a city. Last year, our Columbus Crew motto was "One city, one club, together as one." Our jerseys were branded with the branding for Columbus, and they were even designed from the colors and the design of the Columbus City flag. All of this is great, but it's just a motto. But in Columbus, and as you'll see throughout the MLS, this motto is really ingrained in the relationship that these teams have with their cities. For those who don't know, Columbus is a city that's absolutely dominated by everything Ohio State. They also have a very successful NHL franchise. Despite that, and the fact that our stadium is only 5 minutes away from the hulking downtown Ohio Coliseum that holds over 110,000 people, our fans were steadfast in the support, and we filled out our stadium, 20,000, no problem, for every game. But what really impressed me this year was what went beyond the match days. Our club did a phenomenal job of setting up projects for us players, our staff, every member of the staff, coaching members, to have these opportunities to really connect with our community. So it was common for us as players to go to local hospitals and play video games with kids. We would work with our veterans. We had fishing trips with our veterans, one-on-one sessions with kids and clinics at local clubs. And these are relationships that still persist today. I think one of the most intriguing things about an MLS franchise is that, most teams, most NHL teams, most NFL, NBA, their seasons are 4 or 5 months, and it's over. The MLS season starts about this week in January, and if you're successful, ends in December. So you have a lack of cyclicality, as you would see in other clubs. or in other sports, excuse me. So for that reason, we have these continuing growing relationships with our communities. And an important piece of that is that we're very active in the summers and being able to give back to our youth. That brings me to my last point. I think connecting with our youth has become such a soccer-dominant sport. When I grew up playing for local clubs here, we would have an A team, a B team, maybe two teams in the same division, the same age group in the same club. My 15-year-old brother plays for the same club, 7 or 8 teams, ranging from all different skill levels. So I think that right there tells you that soccer is a very growing sport, and MLS is a huge part of that. So with that said, I'm a huge proponent of the stadium renovation and subsequent bid for MLS in 2020. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Jeff Beaver. Jeff Beaver.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the County Commission. I want to say something real quickly first. There are many here who know me or think I've gone over to the dark side because I'm getting ready to talk about why I don't think we should have the MLS stadium built in place of Memorial Stadium. But I'm going to anyhow. I've been giving a great deal of thought recently about the plans to replace one of Charlotte's most cherished and iconic structures, American Legion Memorial Stadium. As a Charlotte native, having called our city home for the past 71 and a half years, I have always considered the stadium a dedicated and protected site, based on not only its name, but for the memory of those for whom it was built. There are some, obviously, who want to have it torn down to its entirety to make way for a larger and considerably more expensive structure, interestingly called in the Center City, which I have a hard time figuring how Elizabeth is part of the Center City, but maybe it is, to go along with our already existing NFL, NBA, and AAA baseball stadia. There does not seem to have been much of an outcry until this evening, perhaps, about this plan. Also, there has already been brought forth another plan by the Charlotte Independent Soccer Club and its owner, Jim McPhillamy, which appears to have been given the heave-ho in favor of the idea we are discussing tonight and today. In my humble opinion, and with your understanding that I do not pretend to know all the facts, this latter idea for refurbishing and expanding the existing stadium will improve it dramatically without the exorbitant costs and will make the Smith plan unnecessary. There are many, if not thousands, of others, such as myself, who have played football there, have watched our childhood heroes, such as my brother Hal and my good friend Ray Ferris, perform there on the field, have coached there. Gus Purcell and Dave Harris come to mind. Have been involved with the Shrine Bowl games and festivities there. Have been able to meet face-to-face NFL greats like Sonny Jurgensen, Norman Snead, and Billy Ray Barnes there, and the list goes on. It now seems that everyone who had such wonderful experiences are feeling forgotten or left out of any say-so about demolishing our memories along with this stadium. Personally, I had the honor of playing there during my high school days, playing football there, and just a few short years later, during my 9-year stint as executive director of the Charlotte Regional Sports Commission, we brought the 2003 playing of the Military Classic of the South between the Citadel and Virginia Military Institute to the Queen City to play their annual football matchup at Memorial Stadium. I know very well that Charlotte has changed dramatically, population growth most notably, but these memories I have tried to describe are a grand and glorious part of what makes our city so special. And please know that I speak today as just one of many who share my feelings on this matter. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. James McPhillamy, Steve Goldberg, would you, if all of you would come at this time, and also Paul Chipley and Chris Bakis.
Okay, I don't see Jim, but first to Dave Dahl, I want to thank you for your service. Through my work with the Paralympics for the past 20 years, I worked with a lot of your veterans and military. And And we're right at 90 minutes, which I think is prophetic here.
Are you Mr. Phillips?
Yes, I'm Steve Goldberg, and I've been passionately involved with
Steve.
soccer for 45 years, but I've been a Charlottean for all of my 59. In my perspective, we have more speakers here than were in all of Charlotte Junior Soccer in 1971, when we played over at Pearl Street Park. Since that time, while in college, I worked with the Atlanta Chiefs of the North American Soccer League, and during that time, I promoted the first professional soccer game ever in Charlotte between the Atlanta Chiefs and the Minnesota Kicks in 1979 at Memorial Stadium. And that led, working with Bob Benson, who was the chair of the Chamber Sports Committee, and that led to the Carolina Lightning coming in, and Charlotte's first ever national championship with the Lightning in 1981, with more than 21,000 people in the stands. Since then, I've covered 5 World Cups for USA Today, TNT, ESPN. I write for Time Magazine, and unfortunately had to write about the crash hitting Charlotte in 2008 when I got back from Beijing. But what Jeff was saying, I love Memorial Stadium. I grew up watching Shrine Bowls there. I probably saw Jeff play, and I was very young at the time, I'll say. But that and the Coliseum are my 2 favorite places in Charlotte. And this conversation, this is not about building an MLS stadium. It's about building a stadium where MLS will be played. This is a far bigger factor. In the 20 years since I've returned to Charlotte, I've long felt that the stadium needed renovation. And as long as they keep intact the wall, which is my favorite attribute and the only true attribute of this stadium that I feel is important, and the end zone with a view of downtown, I'm good with that. But this is something that is more than soccer. All the other events that will come with it, because Charlotte needs a good mid-sized stadium. That was proven when the College Cup, which was so successful in Davidson, came back to Bank of America Stadium and was lost inside there. Great field to play on, but far from a great soccer environment with the people who came to that. You fill it up for an international game, and it's perfect. And I believe that having a renovated and rebuilt Memorial Stadium will bring back those kind of events that aren't appropriate for Bank of America Stadium. And that includes the big high school football games, the marching band competitions, and anything else you can put in that facility. And most of the biggest stadiums in the world are nestled in neighborhoods much like where Memorial Stadium is. Anfield, White Hart Lane, which is being rebuilt for my beloved Spurs as we speak. And this is where I think, regardless of whether MLS comes here or not, the stadium needs to be redone. And it needs to be redone in a way that is viable for the future.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Steve Goldberg. Steve Goldberg.
That was Steve Goldberg.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, the next person is Paul Chipley. He didn't show up.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. I'm Paul Shipley. I'm the president of the Elizabeth Community Association. This is right in our backyard. So I thought it was important for us in our community to get in front of you, kind of give you some feedback of how we feel about the stadium. To get a little background, since last summer, the county has been gracious enough to get us involved early with the minor league proposal. We have been involved and have put a lot of thought into these 2 projects since last summer. Based on our meetings, we engaged our neighbors in a variety of surveys, and I think I've shared one letter from that time with this commission. I'm happy to send that again if you don't have it. But I did want to share those results from this survey last fall. We had 77% of our neighbors that responded to that poll in favor of a stadium renovation. We only had 7% that were against it. 17% were undecided. We did ask and have been thankful that... 77% of those who voted. Thanks, Cliff. I think you're going to speak later, right? Yeah. Good. Okay. We also requested some deliverables from the county, and those have been listened to. You've seen them in the letter. I'll share that later. I'm not going to get into those at this point, but we have been working hard. We've also been, since that time, we've continued to be engaged. We've had meetings with the county and Representative Mr. Smith from the city concerning this project and the MLS bid. We, in preparation for that meeting, we've had a much larger survey over the weekend as we got more facts, as was made public on Friday and Saturday. We reached out to 1,000 members of our neighborhood. We had 20% response, which is, for a survey, pretty significant. From those results, we still had 66% of our neighbors in support of a stadium. 11% were undecided and 23% were opposed. Break it down even further. So we had about a 3-to-1 margin of for versus against in our neighborhood. The question was, how do you feel about the prospect of an MLS park with 20,000 seats at this site? And those were the responses. We broke it down even further: strongly supported, supportive, strongly opposed, and opposed. 37% of the people strongly supported it, 15% strongly opposed it. Clearly, there are dissension within our neighborhood on outcomes of this. We have two groups in our neighborhood. Our Elizabeth Community Association, which I am the president of, and there is another foundation, the Historic Elizabeth Neighborhood Foundation, which I know this commission has worked with before, particularly in protecting the park. The feedback that we have gotten throughout all of these surveys,
Thank you,
got
sir.
those results. I think that was the most important part that I wanted to give you.
Thank you very much. The next person is Chris Baker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Chris Backus.
Backus, thank you.
As far as I heard Jim Puckett this morning on WBT radio. I was prepared to be fully for this, but for this to be rushed through, slam in 3 weeks, I mean, come on, something's clearly up. It sounds like when you're at a used car lot and some high-pressure used car salesman is trying to push you into something, and we all know how honest used car salesmen are. Now, as far as I live in East Charlotte, I live in Dumont-Clark's district, District 4. I live in Idlewild Farms, cut-through neighborhood, blah, blah, blah. Very, very international neighborhood. I spoke with a bunch of my neighbors. My next-door neighbor from Venezuela, someone from Algeria, someone from Jamaica, someone from Greece. We're not the only Greek family in the neighborhood. And basically they all said, yes, we would very much like to see football come to Charlotte and at Eastland Mall, not at Memorial Stadium, because quite frankly, it belongs at Eastland Mall. East Charlotte is the international district, period, hands down. Bob Morgan, Mr. Smith, Mr. Marcus Smith, all of them talked about economic development, how it improves the area. Nothing is more needed than East Charlotte. There's a great big indecency going on in this county and in this city, letting East Charlotte falter through. This place, it needs to be at Eastland Mall. Now, as far as the funding, giving so much money to, let's face it, a wealthy family. I was at Town and Country Ford March 9th of 2015 having some car work done when a beautiful car came into the parking lot, into the garage, a brand new Porsche 918 Targa. I looked at how much they cost right now. They're selling between $1.4 and $1.8 million. I said, where'd this come from? They said, oh, this belongs to Mr. Bruton Smith's son. Now, $1.8 million Porsches, quite frankly, I don't want my tax dollars going to a person driving a $1.8 million Porsche. Anybody who would like a copy of these pictures, I'll be glad to email it to them. I've got 14 of them. Beautiful car. Anyway, I'm for soccer. If you bring it here, it needs to be at Eastland Mall. And quite frankly, anybody that says it should be at Memorial Stadium where there's no room to park, it is already overdeveloped. But God knows the Elizabeth neighborhood needs to be improved because it's in such dregs. Anybody that does support this to be at Memorial Stadium, quite frankly, should be investigated by the SBI. There's another name to remember. That is Patrick Cannon. Clearly, he's not the only person who's being paid off has been elected in this city. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Larry Huseman.
Huseman.
He's the only one not being paid off. You do?
They were doing so well until he went over the edge. I heard it.
Tom Hackert will be the next person.
Sometimes you just go too far.
Let's learn when to say nothing.
He was
Or say less.
Richard. Good person to come on, and then all of a sudden, everybody argument.
It's being on the take.
Okay, that's over.
Harklett.
Good afternoon. Madam Chair, Board of County Commissioners, County Manager, Attorney, and Clerk, County Clerk. My name is Larry Hilsman. I am a former Mecklenburg County Park and Rec Commissioner. This proposal is on the fastest track I've ever seen, and I have vetted many proposals like this since 2004. I just have a couple comments to make, as many of my comments were made with other people. Orlando has the newest MSL team. Their stadium is 100% constructed and privately owned, and proudly states this fact on the team's website. You ought to go look at it, and you ought to look and see the money, the sponsorships, and all the money that's following Major League Soccer in Orlando. This is a privately owned facility that was privately built by private people. Contrast this proposal here that we have with that of Orlando. I am pleased to hear that our county manager said that this proposal will not affect the backlog of county projects within Park and Rec, schools, libraries, Sheriff's Department, and to supplement additional money for our courts. I might add, with Grady Cole going crunch, crunch, we're going to have another rec center. So that has to be added to the project list. Consider the use of priority use agreements. Mecklenburg County Park and Rec currently has such agreements with our church and association sports teams. Bruton Smith would deposit money just like they do, and then the county would deduct withdrawals as he uses the stadium. The county maintains control and works with the city to market and schedule events just like they already do, and they do a fine job of working together. So priority use agreements should be looked in this. Finally, if the demographics for Major League Soccer are so great in Charlotte, Mecklenburg County, then private investors and owners should be coming to fund us 100% of stadium costs, just like they did in Orlando. Then we would have a much stronger position to negotiate a much better deal. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much. The next person is Thomas Harknett. Thomas.
Madam Chair and County.
Welcome.
It's Tom Harknett. Madam Chair and County Commissioners, good afternoon. My name is Tom Harknett. I'm a senior principal with Stantec, a national consulting engineering company. My firm has a highway design, traffic operations, multimodal planning, and many other areas that we have expertise. A specialty of ours is the development and refinement of stadium access plans. We have consulted with the New York Giants, the Jets, the Vikings, the Philadelphia Eagles, and others on topics such as site access, stadium parking, pedestrian, light rail routing, and maximizing the benefit that police offer on traffic duty. We are currently advising the MLS bid team and recognize that many transportation access challenges are common to all stadiums. These will be reviewed and studied should Charlotte's MLS bid progress and be selected by the league. Stantec's national experience and our local presence in Charlotte provides the right experience to accomplish the comprehensive analysis and planning needed. We know football works, so does basketball. Soccer can work as well. A major goal in any modern stadium development is to maximize multimodal access. The Memorial development is uniquely well positioned to achieve this. Here are some of the areas that we will examine. Vehicle access. We're right near 277 and Independence Boulevard, a great asset. 77 isn't far away, and down the road on 74, Independence, is 485. The major roadway connections will be able to quickly clear traffic from the area following a game and minimize local traffic impacts. We are aware that specially placed signage can maximize the access potential. Parking. The Memorial site will be able to utilize substantial existing CPCC parking assets. Soccer activity will be on weekends mostly, when the student activity is low. We'll be able to protect local residents on street parking, maybe with specialized parking regulations like a residential permitting system or metered parking that we've seen in other places. Based on demand levels, maybe we need to shuttle some folks in and that way minimize the number of vehicles that get very close to the site. Transit. This mode has great potential. Charlotte is in the process of expanding its CityLink system, and the Gold Line has a stop right there at CPC, right near the proposed stadium. Other transit lines and buses are nearby and a short walk to the stadium. Pedestrians and cyclists. Large numbers of patrons will arrive and depart the MLS stadium on foot to and from their principal mode of travel. Convenient and logical routings are needed to provide access while allowing vehicles to access and egress from the area. We are aware that as part of the proposed deal, the county will study possible bicycle and pedestrian connections between Independence Park, the MLS Stadium,
Thank
and
you,
Little
sir.
Shoot.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. The next person will be Rick Kurt. Thank you, sir. And after him would be Cliff Saddlemeyer.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rick Curdy, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Charlotte Bats. When I heard about this, I was very excited to hear about this. You know, we need a lot of sports in our great city and our great state. And I'm all for providing jobs, revenue to our city and state, but I don't think this would be a good idea for our city. The problem I have with this, that it's rushed through. We only have 8 days for this to happen with over $40 million of taxpayer money. And I would think a city like Raleigh would be a good spot to have a Major League Soccer team. We do need a pro team out here. We already have football, we already have basketball, but we need Major League Baseball in our city. I think having a Major League Baseball team will be great for our city. We're the ninth fastest growing state. We're the second largest city without Major League Baseball, and we're also the second largest media market without Major League Baseball. So I don't agree with having a Major League Soccer team, but I do support having a Major League Baseball team in our city. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Clifton Saddlemeyer.
What did she say?
Good afternoon. I'm Clifton Settlemeyer, and I want to start by thanking the members of the board for having me here today. I really appreciate this opportunity. I also want to quickly apologize to Paul Shipley because I interrupted him during his few minutes of speaking, and if I could take it back, I would. I apologize for that. I want to tell you a little bit about myself. In a week or two, we'll celebrate 22 years in Elizabeth. The last 10 years I've spent working to protect, preserve, and enhance Independence Park. If you're hoping somebody will stand up here who is impartial, you have the wrong person. I'm very much against this project. I'd like to say that I don't want to speak past people. I've heard so many comments from soccer people, and I understand the soccer situation in Charlotte. I am a soccer player myself. I have lettered 4 years in high school. I scored 3 goals my senior year from my midfielder position. I love the game. This is not the site for this project. That is one issue. I wish that I could take the time to talk to you about Independence Park, explain Independence Park, explain the role that it plays in our community. I don't have time to do it. Let me just say that I own a home in Elizabeth that is a historic landmark. It was built in 1905. It's a historic landmark because it's the first house built in the Elizabeth Heights section of Elizabeth. It was started almost the same year that Independence Park was opened. This park was there from the beginning in Elizabeth. Independence Park is our mother. It was designed by John Nolan, a student of Frederick Olmsted. It is the birthplace of landscape architecture. It was visited in 1936 by Franklin D. Roosevelt as he was readying himself for his second election. In a very real sense, what was going on from 1932 to 1936 was the implementation of macroeconomics, a field that was invented by John Maynard Keynes, never existed before the Great Depression. Independence Park is the home of macroeconomics. The whole park is a fantastic historic site, and to Charlotte, it's on a par with sites such as the Statue of Liberty in New York City. We need to defend this site.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker will be Kristen Finland.
Brian Abernathy.
Excuse me?
There's another one before that, Brian Abernathy.
He was strike off on my list.
You might just ask if he's here.
Is Brian Abernathy here? No. Okay, I just think he was strike off.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the Commission.
Welcome.
My name is Kristen Finland. Like many of the other speakers who have spoken today, I do love soccer. Like Mr. Smith, I actually did see the Charlotte Lightning play when I was in elementary school at Memorial Stadium. But I'm actually not here to talk about soccer. I'm going to shift gears just a little bit on you and talk about roller derby. Because Memorial Stadium and Grady Cole are not just about soccer. I am a skater with the Charlotte Roller Girls, which is a nonprofit organization that is also Charlotte's only women's flat track roller derby team. The Grady Cole Center has been our home venue for several years now, and I'd like to speak to the board about its value to us. I don't know how many of you are familiar with roller derby or have attended one of our bouts, but women's flat track roller derby is one of the fastest growing women's amateur sports in the United States today, and also has a growing international following. Our national organization, which is called the Women's Flat Track Derby Association, actually this is a typo, it's an international organization, currently has nearly 400 full-member leagues as well as another 64 apprentice leagues all over the United States and the world. Junior roller derby leagues are also popping up all over the country and bringing boys and girls into the sport. So the Charlotte Roller Girls, we celebrated our 10th anniversary last year. For 10 years, we've been a skater-owned league, bringing the sport of roller derby to our fans. We're a diverse group of women of all races, ages, and ethnicities, coming from all walks of life. Many of us are professionals, many of us are mothers, many of us are both. Our fans are also a diverse community coming from all over Charlotte and its surrounding counties. Our league is a nonprofit and also proudly gives back to the community through partnerships and fundraisers for other charities and local nonprofits. In 2016 alone, our partners included Safe Alliance, Hands on Charlotte, Second Harvest, and the Community Blood Center of the Carolinas. And if you haven't been to a bout, I'd strongly urge you to come, especially if you have daughters, granddaughters, nieces. The sport is a fast-paced sport that's fun to watch, and it's also an opportunity to see strong, self-confident, athletic women competing and excelling in a sport that we love. Now, prior to 2009, we played at Bojangles, but in 2009, we moved to Grady Cole, which is the perfect venue for us. We have looked into it and have not found another venue that is the proper size for our crowds. It is large enough to accommodate our track needs and our audiences, but small enough that our audiences can fill the space and be close to the game.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Our next person is Ms. Garrett Lynn. Ms. Garrett. Garrett.
Glenn.
Okay, that person is Nelson Spicer. Patrick McDonald.
Miss Scott Bryan. Scott Bryan.
Excuse me?
You miss Scott Bryan.
Miss Scott Bryan.
Scott Bryan. Is Scott Bryan here?
He might be here.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Patrick McDonald. Thanks for having me today. Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. I first came to Charlotte for a visit in 1999. This was a one-building town for an outsider looking in. After 5 p.m., the streets were empty, businesses locked up. It was a stop off the interstate, whether you're traveling north or south. That was 18 years ago. You have changed that by the City Council being proactive. What you are given here is a very tough decision for everyone, and everyone makes incredible cases on both sides of the argument. I think pro or con, they're great cases. Is this decision rushed? Absolutely it is. I implore you to look at all the facts. I personally believe that this is only a one-time shot Charlotte will get for MLS. And I know it is a one-time shot if Raleigh submits a bid and gets it and we don't even submit a bid. It won't come back again. There are 10 very competitive cities vying for 4 spots. I heard about Orlando Stadium earlier, and that's very true. Next year, Atlanta is entering the MLS. Their stadium cost over $1 billion. I travel all around the world and in this country for work. You know how I communicate with different people of all races, creeds, religions? Soccer. That's my opening line. Whether it be my Uber driver in Chicago from Nigeria, whether it be in Germany, not speaking German, we communicate in the same language. And this is a time in this country where everything could not be more divided. Outside looking in, Charlotte right now is known for HB2, protesting, riots. So I do see the camaraderie in it. While some people might say that's not true, this is not a niche sport. It's growing. If you're skeptical about it, I implore you to come to any pub or restaurant in Uptown at 7 in the morning, where you'll have 50 or 100 people watching soccer, including myself. I am up at 6:30 in the morning on a weekend watching soccer downtown or uptown with others. Also, it was noted that the United States will probably get the World Cup in 2026. With a soccer team in Charlotte, there will be World Cup games at Bank of America Stadium. My question to you, after you review all the facts, is Charlotte going to continue to move forward? When you see all the cranes in the sky, the buildings, the light rail extensions, or is it going to be
Thank you.
back to the past?
Thank you, sir. I appreciate
Thank you.
it. Thank you so much. That was Mr. McDonald. Next speaker would be Ty Turner. Ty Turner is not here. Okay. Larry Brackett. And Mr. James Donahue will follow him.
Who's this coming in? This is Ty Tanner. Ty
Good afternoon to members of the board and to the chamber.
Number 38.
It is a dark day. Judas goats and carpetbaggers amongst us. Scrape your boots before you cross the threshold. From the morning paper, the county manager says we can take the county's share to cover the new soccer stadium from the general fund, $50 million, chump change. The city manager says we can take the city's share from the hotel motel tax, which has a debt capacity of $589 million. That $589 million is earmarked as a down payment on a new NFL stadium that will cost the taxpayer more than $1 billion. The Panthers will hold the taxpayer hostage for this new stadium when their 10-year tether expires in 2023. The NFL, a nonprofit that does not pay taxes and caps salaries at $180 million. There are 150 million jobs in this country. 99 out of every 100 pays less than $100,000. Let the little people pay the tax. My answer to this government: place a direct tax on these boutique nonprofits to bankroll their boutique list and venues want list. In the recession 6 years ago, the county cut funding for the public libraries. These funds have not been restored to the use of the 1 million citizens of Charmeck. The county allocates $43 per child in child protective services, and you wonder why these children are physically abused and dead under the county's protection. The general fund is to be used for the greatest good of the citizens and their most urgent and pressing needs, not sports venues. In the words of a Patrick Cannon, we are not here to serve for the sake of service. In God we trust, for in truth no man in this room is to be trusted with power. To the Judas goats, the county manager and the city manager, I say to you, get your $100 million out of the hefty garbage bag and place a direct tax on these venues to bankroll their pricey wants.
Yeah, that's who that is.
Beware the dog that bites the hand that feeds it.
Thank you, sir. Mr. James Donahue. And I'd ask that Brian Scott also come down. Scott Bryan.
All right, thanks for having me. I've learned a lot from all the other speakers, and I'm looking forward to saying my piece here. Hey, this came up relatively suddenly, I think. I'm proud of the history of the county of Mecklenburg and the city of Charlotte and everything that is here now. And that was a collaborative effort. That was the voters voting for people to make decisions on issues that were currently issues. This was not a current issue till just recently. And MLS knows what they're doing. This is a negotiation play on their part. They could structure the deadline anytime they want. They could have brought this earlier. There was rumors about this years ago. Why now? Well, we know why. All right, the whole sentiment nationally is against publicly funded stadiums. So let's put a big squeeze play. Charlotte's a very competitive city. You guys like to compete. I like to compete. We're going to win this one. Well, we don't need to play this game. Not right now. They can come to us later, okay? I don't think this is the right time and the right way to go about this. I would support something like this with the right financial structure in place and a little bit more research. I've bought TVs with more consideration than we're thinking of buying stadiums and lining up a 25-year deal. That's not good business. And right now, this is about business, and it will turn into politics. Okay? Heard a lot about soccer. People at 6 in the morning, they're not watching Major League Soccer. It's not there yet. This is all Premier League and other international. I love playing soccer. My kids are going to play soccer. But this is not a reason to build a stadium right now, whether it's Memorial or somewhere else. I don't care about those details. What I look at is The way MLS is going about that and the way the ownership group is coming about, this is a strong negotiation tactic. You can fall for it. You can decide any way you want. You will be held accountable by the voters. And I would love to see a city or county-wide official poll and even a vote on something this large for the long-term aspect that we offer. Now, the circus is coming to town. They say there's a sucker born every minute, according to P.T. Barnum. I don't think we're suckers. I don't think we need to take this deal right now. And I don't feel any threat from Major League Soccer, from Raleigh, from Cincinnati, from any other place. Bring it on. We're Charlotte. We are a big league city. We don't need to compare ourselves to all these other places and prove, oh, we can fall for it like the next guy. Okay? Arlington, Texas just voted again. God bless them, I'm from there. To build another stadium for the Texas Rangers. This thing was built in '95, and now they wanted an indoor one. They threatened to move to Dallas. Well, Arlington voted once again to vote for that stadium. They win, okay? The Rangers win. Arlington is the largest municipality in the United States without a mass transit system. There's a trade-off. That's economics. Whatever you put in now, you can't use later. And we know stuff will be going down the road. There's already a list. And I don't think this needs to be the soup du jour. This is not the most pressing need right now in Charlotte just because MLS says so.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Our next person would be Angela Ambarosa.
Hello. I'm here tonight. My name is Angela Umbraz. It's been a crazy day, but I wanted to take an opportunity to talk about how this impacts us. You know, Charlotte is a great city. It's growing, lots of opportunity. I hear that all the time. But the reality is, who are we reaching with that opportunity? I hear someone say, well, we need a soccer stadium. It'll be great. I actually live in neighborhoods that are going to be impacted by this stadium. But just drive up the street to Belmont, where that neighborhood is being displaced by the day. What do you think this soccer system is going to do to them without having any real impact on affordable housing, on things that this city needs? We talk about Charlotte being a global city. It's a growing city. What about Charlotte sending a message so it can go out globally that we're going to take the opportunity for once and invest in everybody in this city? We're going to invest in opportunity. We're going to give these kids, instead of giving them hope to go play soccer, MLK gave us hope. Let's give them access. Let's give them opportunity. Let's give them an opportunity to impact this city. This isn't right. I am sick and tired of coming here and looking at Charlotte not investing and spreading the wealth throughout this city. It is time for you guys to be unanimous in this. Bipartisanship. Show us that we can have that here in this city. Show this city that we care. You know, I'm here. I had to prioritize. There's a word we have to do. My kids, I need to be at the student assignment meeting, but I had to prioritize. That's what you need to do. You need to prioritize. You need to say, you know what, this is great, and one day we'll get it, but we're going to take the time and start investing in affordable housing. Maybe I wouldn't be here if we took the opportunity for Brooklyn development and said, let's ask for equity in housing. Let's reduce the cost of that land so we can provide more affordable housing. So some of these people in these neighborhoods would have had opportunity and a place to go. But we're not doing that. It's time to take this conversation and go out of the box and start thinking about things, opportunity that impact this city. It is a defining moment. I think that's what Center City Partners said. Define this moment. Tell the city of Charlotte, let it go globally, that you want to, for the first time in this city, invest in everyone. Invest across the board. Give people economic opportunity. Give them access. That's what we need. Let's get past hope. Let's go into action. That's what we need in this city. Everybody knows someone that needs affordable housing. Who in this room knows someone who can't afford housing right now? Who in here knows people that are struggling? And if you don't, that's why you didn't know about Charlotte Uprising. That's why you missed the mark, because you're not educated enough to know about this entire city. That's the problem. We need to step out of the box, and we need to move Charlotte forward and give access to everybody in this city. And I'm tired of us being dropped every single time. Take the time to think about everybody.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Scott Bryan. Thank you, ma'am.
Greetings, fellow commissioners. My name is Scott Bryan. Thank you for this opportunity to be before you today. First, may I say I am no stranger to soccer. I played, my girls played, my brother played in high school, went on to play in college. It's a great sport. We've heard some wonderful things about this sport today. I'm in agreement on much of that. However, while the discussion of investment in Charlotte's continued growth is interesting and worth exploring, the lack of due process in these proceedings about spending a significant amount of public dollars on a sports team and their venue is very disturbing to me and many, many other people who live in this city and pay taxes. I think I speak for others when I say that having a public hearing jammed hastily into a 3 p.m. time slot today does not offer people an appropriate opportunity to listen or speak. In short, how can this session truly qualify as a public hearing on this matter? I like to put a face on some people who would love to be here today. Those are citizens, taxpayers, and people who voted for you. Let's put a face on them. It's the people who clean our streets. It's school teachers. It's healthcare workers, bank tellers, people trying to find a job, hoping to find opportunity here. In short, this short fuse deadline is a prime example of being leveraged by the league or seller of the soccer franchise, who has imposed such short deadlines in a manner where you, our elected officials, are forced to make a quick decision on spending millions of taxpayer money without the appropriate information or input from the voters and taxpayers of this city. This matter has not been in the public discourse for enough time. In addition, you are charged in overseeing public quality of life investments for the people, for everyone in Charlotte, notably schools, public infrastructure, parks, other public services, and the list could go on. We are already underinvested in these and other areas of our city. There is little data showing that the tax base will expand, yielding a certain return on investment from putting a very, very large amount of funding into the facilities that would enable a soccer franchise. I urge you to study this matter further.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Yes. Breck Ballard. Breck Ballard.
Hello, my name is Brack Ballard. I've never done this before, so really appreciate your guys' time to allow me to come and to speak. I also like to say I am a student minister of a church here in Charlotte, so I appreciate you guys opening this session today at 3 o'clock with a word of prayer. I know we've heard from so many today and a lot of statistics, pros and against, so I like to hope that my message today comes from the heart. I know that a lot of the cons today have been money. The cons today have been tearing down a stadium that's historic. A con today has been the short notice. We get this, we know this, but we also recognize that the 9 other cities are given the same hand that we were. But I like to think that there are a lot more pros to this as opposed to cons. Every other city, like I've already mentioned, is on a deadline. This will increase the streetcar attendance that many have wrote about that has been lacking in attendance. It will answer the question of what do we do with the stadium that if we don't answer today or this year, we'll have to answer at some point. One day I like to have children and be blessed with children, and I like to bring them to a Major League Soccer game. and I don't want to go to Raleigh, and I'm tired of Atlanta in some ways beating us. I don't want to go to Atlanta. I don't want to go to Raleigh. I don't want to go to Nashville. I want to stay in our city in Charlotte. I am from Knoxville, Tennessee. My wife is from Raleigh, North Carolina, and I just think that it would be an opportunity for us here. In addition, it continues to put Charlotte on the map with the 4th Major League Soccer or professional team here in the city. And this isn't just about Charlotte. I know being from East Tennessee, folks from East Tennessee will come to games. I know my wife's from Raleigh. I know people from Raleigh would come to the games if we were blessed to have it and Raleigh wasn't. So I know people from all over the Southeast will come. This is much bigger than just Charlotte. My experience in college, I was cool. I just met a Columbus Crew keeper. In college, I went to a Columbus Crew soccer game, and he is right. I mean, the experience of soccer will be completely different than the Panthers, Hornets, or basketball. I've talked to my senior pastor. His son lives in Orlando, and 2 of their sections in the Orlando Stadium don't even have seats, because in soccer, everybody stands and goes nuts the whole time. And so this really will be a different culture, a different crowd, a different type of experience that our city could offer that none of our sports teams would. I've also been in Nicaragua during the World Cup, and I've also been to a World Cup qualifier in Alabama with thousands of Guatemalans coming, and I just cannot express. I was actually a baseball player. I played college baseball. I was so good, that's why I'm a student minister. But I am a big component of soccer. We were all in Charlotte last year when the Panthers brought this city together. We all recognize that sports bring people together. For whatever reason it does, and that's pretty awesome. In conclusion, I do appreciate everybody's time today. I'm sure you all are exhausted and ready to go home and take a nap. But I like to think that, I do agree with many that this will be the only time for us to propose this. I mean, they're going to bless, 2 to 4 cities with this, and this probably won't come back. And so,
thank you very much. I hope you won't go home and take a nap. Okay, the next person we have is Reverend Jay Lee.
I know him.
And following him would be Bob Welch. He should come on down as well. And Ed Barnhart. Mike.
Reverend Jay Leak.
I think it's probably accurate to say good evening, Madam Chair and Commissioners. First of all, thank you for having this hearing. This is how government ought to operate. Regrettably, this hour does not allow many in our community to be in this room. I think you can look in this room and see that the demographics don't reflect our community. I was thinking as I was driving down here about Richard Beelan. Dick Beelan was my 7th grade teacher. He taught us to play soccer. I learned as a 12-year-old to love this game. I've loved it ever since. There's no question that soccer has local appeal. There's no question that soccer has national appeal. And there's no question that soccer has international appeal. The case has been made over and over today, the popularity of soccer. But what I would point out to you is you're not here to answer the question whether or not soccer is popular. That's not your question. And over that question's been answered for you, but that's not your question. There's a question facing you, and that is, has a case been made for government assistance? Let's call this what it is. Has a case been made for government assistance? Do you have data? Do you have a deep study? Are you able to look your constituents in the eye and say, we looked at this deeply, and we can assure you that the case has been made for government assistance? That's the question before you. The second question before you is this. We all know what we went through last fall. And we've been in conversation ever since. I've been in conversations with some of you. You've heard our community speak over and over and over. One of the things I would ask you is, how often have you heard our community say, what we lack are the opportunities to go to games?
That's right.
We don't have enough games to go to. Part of what you saw in the fracturing of our community, part of what tore us apart last fall, was the fact that we don't have enough games to go to. And if you've heard that, I would urge you to back this deal, because you're being told that this deal would address what this community went through last fall. But if you haven't heard that, and if instead you've heard the cry, the plea, the call for other things, then I would urge you, please, listen to the larger community's expression of need. You face a significant decision, and significant decisions of this magnitude shouldn't be made coercively. Please
sir.
take your time and make a wise decision.
Thank you. Thank you, Pastor. Bob Welch. Following him will be Ed Barnhart.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Robert Welch. I am the chairman of the Mecklenburg County Veterans, supporting the name of the American Legion Memorial Stadium. Hoping that we keep this name because of our World War I veterans. It was back in the years, in the early 1930s, my grandfather and I stood in line for a loaf of bread. It was the time that a lot of our World War veterans belonged to a post 9 here in Charlotte. They were at the age of between 30 and 40 years old, raising a family, and the time was tough. With Roosevelt starting the CCC and the WPA, it gave these veterans to build the stadium, American Legion Memorial Stadium. It was President Roosevelt in 1936 that came down and dedicated this stadium. So we should, and it was to go on further with the stadium. Charlotte is large enough and big enough, has started many pro things, and I don't feel that Charlotte is big enough to support another sport. It is great to know that we have done so many things here in Charlotte. I urge that we do support another sport. I like to say that, again, it is our American Legion that helped support this stadium, and our veterans today, when they return home, are to hear that Charlotte have supported a sport from our veterans. I thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Next person, Ed Barnhart. Steve Holcomb, you're next, wherever you are.
Well, Commissioners, my name is Ed Barnhart. It's been a long afternoon, but I think an afternoon well spent for me. I've heard some great discussion and some points brought up that I didn't think about, so I think it's been an eye-opener for me. But I, like Bob, am an American Legion member. I'm a 30-year veteran of the U.S. Navy, and I'm a retired Navy captain. I'm here today not to speak on the merits of soccer or this financial dealings and how the numbers are going to be crunched and how they're going to work. I'm actually here to speak about the stadium itself. My hope is that you will maintain and always remember the name of the stadium. It was addressed a couple times today in the proper name. It is American Legion Memorial Stadium. It is not Memorial Stadium, it's American Legion Memorial Stadium. The history of this venue is rich and dates back to 1936, as people have mentioned, when Franklin Delano Roosevelt dedicated the stadium to those people who died in the war that would end all wars, and that was World War I. From that day forward, this facility served to remind us and honor those who served and died in that war and the wars since. This memorial is old and showing its age, and the land on which it resides is still a monument to those men and women. You have before you a proposal to rebuild this memorial. And I stress the point, memorial. The plan on how you do it is certainly dynamic and the cost is rising. When you or other members shake the trees and try to find more money on how this is going to be financed, please remember that the name of the facility is not for sale. That bill has already been paid. It was used today, and the phrase people often use is "thank you for your service" when they're speaking to or about veterans. And while that is appreciated, what many fail to realize is it's an honor and a privilege to serve this great nation in the uniform of the armed services. All we ask in return is to honor those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice in that service. This community has done that on monuments in Freedom Park, the wall of the Vietnam Memorial on Sugar Creek, and in the aged-old venue out there that we call Memorial Stadium. It is my hope that prior to this process moving further, regardless of the outcome, as I remember this was a $24 million process or redo when I first got involved with it, and now it's upwards of $170 million. But regardless of the outcome, I hope that this commission will pass a resolution ensuring that the name of this facility will now and forever remain American Legion Memorial Stadium. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Stephen Halton. Welcome.
Stayed within the time.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, can we all be clear on one thing? This is not a referendum on soccer. We have soccer in Charlotte. We got lots of soccer teams in Charlotte. We have it today, and we'll have it tomorrow. What this is about is preserving a part of Charlotte's history. I have lived most of my life in Charlotte, and I have many fond memories of Memorial Stadium and Grady Cole Center, built as a tribute to those brave men who gave their lives for their country in World War I. It has hosted presidents and rock stars, high school football, and marching bands. This city seems hell-bent on destroying all its symbols of the past. Just a few blocks away, historic African-American neighborhood of Brooklyn was razed and replaced with concrete government buildings.
Amen.
The familiar icons of Tryon Street are gone. And just a couple of weeks ago, our beloved Double Door Inn closed its doors for the last time. If you tear down Memorial Stadium, there will be nothing left of the historic musical corridor that stretched from the Double Door Inn to Memorial Stadium and Grady Cole Center. Legendary musicians, stars appeared there, giving me some of the sweetest memories of my life. Why must Charlotte continue to destroy its historical landmarks when there's so few left to remind us of what this city looked and felt like in the past? When I first came to Charlotte back in the 1970s, I lived in the Elizabeth neighborhood, and I live just a little bit further down Monroe Road now. I still love walking through Independence Park and seeing that grand old stadium at the foot of 7th Street. You can stand there and look out towards uptown and see Charlotte's future rising from the past. And believe me, it's a breathtaking sight. I ask you, please do not destroy yet another piece of our shared history. It is what connects us to the generations that came before. It is where our grandparents' generation.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next person, Lisa Russell. Lisa? Following her would be Mike Myers, Jr.
Like what? Myers.
Welcome.
Hello, kind commissioners. I believe it's a privilege to be allowed to speak one's mind as a citizen in this forum, and I don't think we're just given that opportunity in all levels of government, so I do thank you very much. I don't have a prepared statement. I didn't come here with a prepared statement, so all I can do really is speak from my heart, basically. And a lot of what I would have to say echoes the gentleman's statement that just spoke. He said he came here in the 70s. I started in here in 1954. And let me tell you, it's been a roller coaster ride in this city in every way you can imagine. Here's my basic belief. No more pro stadiums. No more pro stadiums. I know there are a lot of different feelings about it. I've heard those expressed. But I feel like a Native American. I feel like I've had people come in here from all over the place, just as the Europeans came here with the Native Americans and just proceeded to shove me away. And I don't even spend most of my time here now. But it's not that I don't want to. It's just that this is no longer Charlotte. And as the gentleman said, I mean, all of our history has basically been torn down. And I see it day by day leave. And it's overwhelming. One of the last things was the Goodyear building and the news and maybe the Charlotte Observer building downtown. And even when I came back here a few years ago and discovered that the Shrine Temple downtown with the big tremendous columns had disappeared, I was totally shocked. I didn't think they could even move something that big. But Memorial Stadium has such a history here. My brothers played football there. I've been to many events there. And I know it probably needs some help. But let me tell you what. Soccer is a European sport, basically, I believe. Maybe from other parts of the world, too. But guess what they do in Europe? They keep their old buildings for hundreds and hundreds of years, even for thousands of years. I mean, we go to church every Sunday, those who go. We study about things that happened 2,000 to 4,000 years ago. It's not like, 100 years ago is that far away. We think it is, but it's really not. Not in the timeline of the world. So here's something else to consider. Do we have to have it all? I mean, everybody wants to talk about Charlotte needs to be bigger, better, bolder, bigger, and everything else in the world. I know there are people in Raleigh that we don't like, folks. So I think, anyway. But be kind to Raleigh. Be kind to Raleigh, seriously.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yes, thank you. Mike Myers, Jr. Thank you. And following him will be Lee Thomas.
Lee Thomas.
Thank you, Commissioners. My endeavor is to speak the truth in love. I'm a native Charlottean, West Charlotte alumni, class of '79, and got a lot of great memories about the stadium and had my senior prom at the Park Center, it was called back then. Just a lot of love for that whole area. Also, I'm an election official in the Cotswold neighborhood, and I see some of the voters here, and I do that not for political reasons, but for capital P political reasons. I love to see the voters. I love this town. This town means so much to me and its people. And while I have wonderful memories of the sports that's gone on through the years. Been a lot of fun, a lot of great memories here. But I'm certainly not anti-soccer at all. I think the idea about Eastland Mall, 2 thumbs up. I have a little problem with other people's money, and y'all can see that kind of issue too. It's just not the right role of what you're about. Affordable housing should be the top priority to help move children up from poverty, not more unprofitable sports teams, et cetera. And approving it would be sending the wrong message to a fragile community that's just beginning to get emphasis on better priorities. If we don't come out of this day seeing family first, let's just be for real, heart to heart about where this has got to go. I hope you can feel my heart on that issue. That's the greater good. If we don't improve things for the next generation, I love soccer. More power to it. But Memorial Stadium, that area, it's just really awesome. It's meant a lot to me through the years, and you know, I love Charlotte. I know you guys do too. Let's think for the greater good. Family first. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Mr. Lee, comments?
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. And one of the reasons I am here is because we've got all this infrastructure that's about to be finished with the goal line, with the extension of the light rail. And part of the thing about that is it all goes to the center city. And that's great. And what's there are educational places, and education, in my opinion, is the most important thing for upward mobility. And the best institution that does that, and I think it's an outstanding attribute for the city, is CPCC. And that is right adjacent to where they want to impede on the development of Central Piedmont Community College. And the reason that particular location is so important, because people who do not have automobiles can get to that college because of that transportation. If we have other things built there, CPCC can't be expanded, or the price of the land will be so elevated that we'll all pay for that, or we won't expand it when it's needed. So I think that we ought to have the Eastland Mall site, if it's going to be done, to use as the development site. It's already got hundreds of parking spaces that are paved, in good shape. It's already easier to build, less expensive to build on that site. It has the room to expand. In Orlando, they already have decided that they need a new stadium because it's not large enough and adequate for the facilities. So why do we put a development of a stadium where it is already going to be landlocked? It's going to be very tight. And so let's put it there in the community where we have international population that's really interested in soccer. There are also, that whole area needs help and development. Why do we go and put it somewhere where most people don't want it, but a lot of people love soccer? And I think it's a great thing to have soccer in Charlotte, but it's in the wrong place as proposed now. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That ends all of our speakers. Madam Manager,
Adjourn, right?
anything else?
Move to adjourn.
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Let's stay here.
Move adjournment.
Move adjournment.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming.